Hey everyone, it's Adele. This is a very strange world we live in. I have been fascinated by and intensely curious about the nature of existence and reality since elementary school. Um, but things are getting really, really weird lately in a cool and exciting way. So I know right now where we live is an exact replica of the Windows screensaver that I used to stare at as a kid in elementary school and just daydream. I used to imagine feeling that sun on my skin and running through that endless green field instead of being trapped in this school. And the school that we were in, it even had cage bars on the lower windows. It was so horrible. It was so horrible. In many ways, school saved me from being stuck at home with my abusive mother all the time, but that's a whole other story. And because of my early experiences as an entrepreneur, I also had a really deep-seated belief that money was easy for me to make. People loved trading with me. People were excited about the things I had for sale. And so when I became an entrepreneur as an adult, it was just easy for me. It was just something that just worked out. But the negative things that I believed that were ingrained in me from a young age also came true. And that's kind of what I want to talk about in this video. I just think it's such a raw deal. It's such an extra kick in the ass that those of us who survived these horrific childhoods grew up to become adults who have to deal with the same types of problems over and over again, or the same types of people in a different body over and over again. So in this video, I want to talk about my experiences with this, things that I've seen happening for other people, and also give some very concrete ways that we can prevent this from continuing, because it's painful. We have been through this. We were subjected to these abuses of our spirits, of our emotional selves, of our bodies for some people. From a very young age, we were completely helpless and vulnerable. And it's just not fair that it's in there and then it's creating our experience of reality for most people until they die. As I said in my previous video, most people never break out of their hurtful childhood trauma self. So an example of this that I've seen recently was, let's say someone grew up in a family where they had to be the parent. They had to do all the chores. They had to take care of their siblings. They had to take care of their parents. Maybe their parents were drinking or irresponsible. This person had to take care of their parents, let's say, and their siblings. So they grew up with this feeling like there's a lot to do. I'm overwhelmed. There's no one to help me. So this person, let's say they become obsessed with the idea that people don't want to help them. But on the other hand, they also really, really, really want help. When someone does come along who legitimately wants to help them, this person is going to have this fear that this person is going to leave, that this person does not want to help them, and that in general people don't want to help. And if this person hasn't developed the right coping mechanisms, communication skills, hasn't worked on themselves internally, they're going to do things like being manipulative or being clingy, right? Or trying to control someone to help them, or try to guilt someone into helping them, because in their mind, they're thinking, this person does not want to help me. And so what ends up happening is someone who comes and they want to give from their heart, and they're like, yeah, I'm going to help you. This will be great. This person you're helping, they've got these issues, and they're doing all these things to that person who's there to help them. And so then it actually makes it come true. The person who legitimately wanted to help them from their heart, now they're like, well, I don't want to be controlled and manipulated and guilted, and I just want to help you, right? So they're like, I'm going to leave. And so that person is like, see, nobody wants to help me. It's like this horrible cycle that builds on itself, and it continues to enact itself out in your life. And it's really interesting when you think about this, because our experience of reality is essentially just turning stimuli into something that's created in our consciousness, right? Because, for example, when you see sunlight, you're not seeing sunlight, you're seeing energy. What's happening is that energy has entered into your reality. It's gone into through your eyes. Your brain has turned it into light. And that's what you see projected out in front of you. And this happens with everything, right? So this person who came in to help this person was, a signal coming into this person's field, like, oh, here's a person, and this person's here to help. And so it goes into the traumatized person's brain, and they're like, oh, this person doesn't really want to help me. And that's what they're seeing out in the world. And that's eventually what happens because of how they behave based on their interpretation of what they've created. I get so excited thinking about this because, like I said, we very easily create these negative situations, right? Because for most of us, the things that are the most impactful, the things that our brains and our subconscious mind remember and catalog and cling and hold on to are the most negative experiences when we're a kid, right? Because you really want to remember that negative thing because it may affect your survival. We have a part of our brain that is very ancient, right? That was about survival. And so it looks for every negative thing, every little threat. Because when you're a kid and you need help and there's nobody there, that is a threat to your survival. So your brain hitches onto that. It creates a very strong trigger and a very strong memory. So those are the things that are stuck in our subconscious. Those are the things that are running for our survival. It's unfortunate we don't have brains that latch onto and cling and create patterns for and memorize and look for in the world all the good things that happen. That wasn't necessary for survival for humans back in the day. But I would argue that it is necessary for humans' survival today. So that's my first tip for breaking out of this pattern of creating what you hate because of your trauma is glimmers. Instead of triggers, glimmers. So what are like some little things that just kind of brightened your day, or little things that you noticed that kind of brought a spark of joy to your heart? For me, I always write down a few of them in a journal before bed. So I have like throughout my journal, just like days and days, years of just like beautiful little things. Like one example is, I witnessed a little child look up at someone and smile, and the person couldn't see they were smiling, and it was just me that kind of saw that. Or I'll say like, I saw the most beautiful shooting star flower today, and it was growing out in the middle of somewhere where you wouldn't expect it. It was beautiful flower in the Rocky Mountains. Or today I looked at the sky and the sun came out from behind a cloud at the exact same moment as it started raining, and just created this really sparkly, magical looking situation. And I just felt that in my heart. So those are some examples of glimmers that you want to look out for, and start programming and training your brain to be looking for these things throughout the day, to be looking for and remembering and holding on to these beautiful things so that they can become a part of your subconscious. They can become a part of the garden of your mind, right? We want to plant all the beautiful things that we want in the garden of our mind, not just all the weeds that were there, that were plowed in when we were kids that we haven't pulled up yet. Another one is just recognizing and taking responsibility for our own behavior. This is such an important thing to do. I know for me, oftentimes because of my childhood, I had issues with people pleasing, and I had issues with overextending myself, erasing myself to serve the needs and wills of other people. And then I just let things go for a long time, and then one day I wake up and I'm like, I don't want this anymore. Instead of getting angry and looking at everyone saying, you did this and you did that and you did that, turn that finger back on yourself. That's what I often do. And I just think, how did I create this? And oftentimes I'll realize, you know what? I set this precedent for them to treat me like that. I let many times, many situations go where I should have spoken up and said something. So this person had the impression it was totally cool to treat me like that. So I understand why they might think it's okay to continue. So I have to really take care of myself. I have to speak up for myself, and I have to be brave and be there for myself and more authentic. And that's another thing I've been noticing and realizing lately is that all of my life, like, actually, no, I was going to say when I was a child. It started when I was a child, but it's been all of my life. All of my life, I have been kind of waiting for a caregiver to show up and notice my pain and help me. I remember this happened so many times when I was a kid. I remember one time we were visiting with my mother's friends for Christmas, and I was just in the corner hugging a dog and crying. And I was just always sad, I always felt very lonely, disconnected. My mother's friends growing up, they weren't the best people. They'd be smoking and all kinds of fighting, drinking, whatever. And I always just kind of wish that someone could see my tears, see my pain, be there for me, validate me, witness, comfort me. And then as I became an adult, I didn't think those things, but that feeling was still there. I would think, wow, can't my boss see how tired and exhausted I am and give me a day off and be grateful for the work that I do? Or, oh wow, can't my significant other see how much this is hurting me? So I was continuing that pattern of outsourcing my awareness and my self-care to other people. And so I think in the past couple of years, I realized that that person, now that I'm an adult, is me. I don't need to be sitting there going, why can't this person see how much this is hurting me? I don't need them to see that. I need to see my pain, and I need to take action for myself. And that was so empowering for me. I just felt this crystal clear energy coming in for me that I had finally figured something out for myself. And I'll tell you something, this world may seem really crazy right now, but no matter how you slice it, I look at where I came from, what I've done, the person I had to grow to become to get out of my childhood. And I think that I am a perfect person to get through what we're going through in the world right now. And if you're watching this, you probably are too. I just wanted to say, there is grace. There is grace that can just come through to you after you have suffered for many, many years. If you have continually worked at being authentic, being honest, making the difficult choice, there is grace that will just beam through to you one day. It's kind of like, you go to the gym for a month or 2 months and you're like, well, this isn't working. And then one day you look in the mirror and you're like, whoa, I have an ab. You can read more about my journey with this if you're interested in my beautiful book, Recollections: A Journey Through Therapy and Recovery by Adelle Ramcharan. Check it out. It's on Amazon. The link is below. Thank you so much to those of you who have loved and enjoyed this book, who have left me those wonderful reviews. It means a lot to me. I think just being a creator, putting my story out there, and in the hopes that it will help or even just entertain other people and through this journey called life. Final tip for those of you who want to stop creating what you hate is to look for someone who has what you want and go to them. Learn from them, be around them, buy what they have, go to their things, whatever it is. That's what I did from the beginning. And then you just keep taking more and more steps from there. And as you're doing that, your journey inspires other people. So you become that person for other people, and we're all just walking each other home, lending a hand, and it's a really inspiring journey. It gives my life a lot of meaning. If I'm that person for you, I have my consultations back open again, talking to people about boundaries, self-care, emotional things. If you're trying to figure out how to make, 100 grand on the internet, well, that's not something I'm talking about at this time. I got the money, I got the success that I wanted, and it completely fell apart because I didn't have the emotional piece in place. And I remember thinking that when I get the money, then I can do the emotional work. And it didn't really work like that because the money came with a whole new set of problems, right? And a whole set of new complications. So that's not the way it worked. But it was a really beautiful experience that I still get butterflies thinking over certain aspects of that journey. I'm working on a book about just what I did. as a single woman with, you know, disposable income and no responsibilities and an internet job. Yeah, I'm working on a book about that because it was a beautiful thing. It was a gift. It reminds me of the quote in the Bible that the years that the locusts have eaten will be returned to you. I had those years returned to me, and they're still coming. So yeah, I'm really grateful. I'm going to be posting more strategic videos on this channel soon, but for the time being, I just kind of wanted to come here and do how I originally started my YouTube channel, which was just coming and speaking from the heart and talking about things that are important to me that I think could benefit other people. That's all this is about for now. So yeah, please stay tuned. Please leave me comments, likes, subscribe, notifications. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you again soon. Bye for now.